Hello, welcome to my channel Writing the Beautiful. Today we're going to be going through the French MLAT paper from 2009. First of all though, I do just need to do 3 corrections, which I've since noticed things that I just slipped up on in my last video on the MLAT paper from 2008. So let me just do that very quickly. So in the translations from English into French, in question 2, I made the mistake of thinking that entrer could be used as a transitive verb. This is not true. Entrer is an intransitive verb, and this means that it cannot take a direct object. Now in this sentence I've said entrer la maison, which can't happen in French because it is an intransitive verb. So what you have to say with this verb entrer is entrer dans la maison. You have to say to enter into the house. Now you know that entrer is an intransitive verb because it takes être in the past tense, in the passé composé. You say je suis entré. And any verb that takes être in the passé composé is an intransitive verb. This is the same for verbs like partir and sortir. You might have heard already that you can't say je pars la maison to say I leave the house. You have to say je pars de la maison, je sors de la maison. They're both intransitive. Now you can compare that use to one of an intransitive verb, for example quitter, which is transitive. It takes avoir in the passé composé, and you say j'ai quitté la maison, quitter plus a direct object. So remember that, entrer dans la maison, partir de la maison. Very quickly, question 5, vacances. I do not know what this word means. You spell holiday, vacances, like that. And also, Latinists, you may have noticed my mistake when I was talking about fearing clauses to explain the expletive ne in French. Edificant? No, that needs to be a present subjunctive. How do we form the present subjunctive in Latin? Well, you can use this handy phrase, he beat a friar. That's for the first second. I'll explain how this works. So what you do is you take the vowels in each one, so E, EA, A, and IA. And this works for each of the conjugations. So edifico, edificare is a first conjugation verb. So we know that the stem for the present subjunctive is going to have an E in it. So edifice, present subjunctive, and then add your person endings, MST, mustis, NT. It's NT because it's NT because it's they are building the houses, and there's your present subjunctive of edifico in Latin. But that's not what we're here to do today. We are here to do some French MLAT, although perhaps that will have helped some of you Latinists. I hope it has done. Welcome to my channel, Writing the Beautiful. As I've said, if you haven't done this paper already, it might be a good idea to have a look in the description to find a link to it, go off by yourself and do it, and then come back to find out the answers. Having paused the video. Okay, good, welcome back. So hopefully you've now done the paper. Hopefully it wasn't too difficult, but even if it was, it doesn't matter because that's why I am here. Okay, so section 1. Now this is starting to look like, I know we said the 2008 paper had some things on it that don't appear anymore. This is starting to look like more like the style of paper that you get today. Okay, first question, and it requires you to take this infinitive and to put it in the conjugated form of the verb, the finite verb, which we need. So, depuis que ne something là, il n'a pas arrêté de pleuvoir. So this in sense in English would be since it has been rain, or since we have been there, it hasn't stopped raining. But remember that in French, to talk about a length of time after depuis, you do not use the past tense as you do in English. You use the present. So it's going to be the present of être depuis que nous sommes. So in English you would say, since we have been here, it hasn't stopped raining. In French you say, depuis que nous sommes là, il n'a pas arrêté de pleuvoir. The reason for that is it's a present time, it's still ongoing. You'd say, for example, j'habite dans ce maison depuis 10 ans, and that j'habite is a present tense because it's present time, still ongoing. Next question, okay. Now, this quoique, you might be tricked into thinking, I mean, it doesn't matter for this question actually, that what this quoique means is although. But quoique meaning although is one word like this. What this quoique means is whatever, 2 words. Although the reason why I say that it doesn't make a difference for this question is because both of them are going to be followed by a subjunctive. So we need the subjunctive present tense, because j'ai l'intention, we're in the present on the other side of the sentence. Let's keep the present tense. Quoi qu'il, and the form for that is of course puisse. Because that's an irregular present subjunctive form, which you're going to have to learn. Quoi qu'il puisse penser, whatever he might think, you could translate that, the subjunctive in French is a might in English. Whatever he might think, I'm going to go there anyway. Or, I intend to go there. Good. Quand something l'été, nous partirons en vacances. When summer comes, we will go on holiday. Again, you need to be really careful with your tenses in French. This is what it's called, a hidden future. In English, we use the present tense here, as I've just said, but in French, you're going to use a future tense. It's going to be quand viendra l'été, nous partirons en vacances. In the 2008 paper, I talked a bit about inversion of subject and object, or subject and verb, sorry. This is the same thing that's happening here. Even though in English you'd say quand l'été, or when summer will come, or when summer comes, in French it's more stylistically nice, it's balanced to have that viendra coming before l'été. Quand viendra l'été, nous partirons en vacances. You'll also see this hidden future after things like lorsque, une fois. If it's actually happening in the future, in French, you've got to put it in the future tense. Exception to this is si. Si, it's always going to be a present tense when you're talking about the future. So, for example, si, or let's use a s'il fait beau, nous partirons en vacances. And this is despite the fact. Sorry, I've spelled vacances wrong again. I don't know what's happening. Nous partirons en vacances. S'il fait beau, that's going to be a present there after si. But if we were using quand here, you would say quand il fera beau, when it will be nice weather. Quand il fera beau, nous partirons en vacances. Okay, I think that explained. It's exactly the same thing here, except what we're going to use here is a future perfect. Because this is a future time, but it's in the past compared to the future. So think about in this sentence here, what we said was, when summer comes, we will go on holiday. So these are both they're in the same time, aren't they? These two actions, the viendra and the partiront, are happening at the same time. When summer comes, we will go on holiday, right? But then this one, what it's saying is that quite explicitly, this action here is happening before this action here. And how we would translate this in English is with a past tense. Once you have made your bed, you will be able to come downstairs. And so in French, we keep the hidden future in mind, but we use a future perfect. So you'd say, once you will have made your bed, you will be able to come downstairs. Après que tu auras fait ton lit, because the future perfect is just going to be the future of avoir être, plus past participle. Après que tu auras fait ton lit, tu pourras descendre. Descendre. If I've confused you by talking about all these hidden futures, please do leave a comment, and I'll get back to you with a written explanation, because I do realise it's a bit muddled, but yes, I think that's okay for now. This next sentence, you might think that I need an indicative here because paraître, this idea of it me paraît, you'd think ça me paraît que, that suggests something quite certain. I'm going to use the indicative. But what you need to keep in mind is that this qu'il veuille, qu'il vouloir is at the start of the sentence. And the rule just is that whenever you have a que at the start of the sentence, it's always followed by a subjunctive. So your formula here is going to be voi, which is, of course, the present subjunctive of vouloir, which is very irregular. Like I said, if it was il me paraît qu'il, it would be veut, because the idea of it appears to me, that's quite something quite certain. Actually, just a quick aside on those uses of the subjunctive. Il paraît que. There, il paraît que plus something would obviously not take a subjunctive, it would take an indicative, but il ne paraît pas que. That's something less certain. It doesn't seem that. It's not something you're being certain about, and therefore you'd use a subjunctive there. And again, if you're using this interrogatively, does it seem, paraît-il que, or nego-interrogatively, ne paraît-il pas que, then you would use a subjunctive in both of those situations, because that's something which is very more uncertain. This next sentence. So what tense are we in? We're in a past time frame. On s'y attendait depuis longtemps. We were waiting for it for a long time. Here you would have soit mort. Why is that? Well, we're in a past time frame. This verb here tells us that. On s'y attendait. We were waiting for it for a long time. And you just have to say, even though he died, past tense, suddenly we had been awaiting it for a long time. And your perfect subjunctive is just going to be your past participle, mort, plus your present subjunctive of avoir or être. And there you have your perfect subjunctive. Bon qu'il soit mort subitement, on s'y attendait depuis longtemps. Okay, résoudre. We just need a future tense here. Bientôt nous résoudrons le problème. The reason why they've chosen résoudre here is because résoudre is a verb which is highly irregular. And this is, again, one of the ones which you're just going to have to learn. It goes like this, quite weirdly. So, résoudre, to resolve. Je résous, tu résous, il résout, nous résolvons, vous résolvez, and il résolve. It's not even a boot verb, it's just a kind of straight down the middle split. In the future tense, je résoudrai, as we've seen in the future, and the past participle is résolu, j'ai résolu. And the imperfect we know because we get the imperfect from the nous stem, je résolvais. One of those things you are very much just going to have to learn. But that's fine. Bientôt nous résoudrons le problème. Okay, next sentence. What tense are we in? Était. She was doing something, a continuous action. She was complaining relentlessly because the hotel was very dirty. Plaindre is another weird present tense verb. So it goes like it's plaindre, but it's je plains, nous plaignons, all that kind of thing. And we want the imperfect tense. To get the imperfect, as we've just said, we take the nous form, kill the ONS, add your imperfect endings, AIS, AIS, AIT, IONS, IUZ, AIENT, and therefore we get je plaignais, for example, and we've got elle se, whoops, I need to be in blue, elle se plaignait. So because we're using the imperfect there, because it's repeated action in the past. As soon as she saw him, elle. This is quite easy, it's just the past tense of croire. Elle a cru. Another irregular past participle. And s'asseoir, another very irregular verb, which looks something like this. Je m'assieds. The future is quite horrible. Je m'assierai. but we just need the past participle here, which is quite easy. Assis is the past participle. So il s'est assis. Remember, reflexive verbs in the passé composé always use être. Il s'est assis devant la télévision et a commencé à la regarder. Now, looking at all the verbs, you might be thinking a bit despondent at the moment, but because you can just see actually that it's not always so much just grammar points that they're testing, but do you know your stuff? And I know it's difficult, but you have just got to do it. You can use Quizlet, you can just write it out, you can chant it to yourself in your head, but you will get there. Because there's only a finite number. I know it doesn't always seem like that, but there is only a finite number of verbs you can learn. Eventually, you will have all of them. So I wouldn't worry about that at all. Just just keep at it, keep going, and you will get there. Section 2. So this is kind of testing verbs with prepositions. I'll explain the example when we come to question D because it's in opposition to that. N'hésite pas, hésitez de faire something, hésitez de m'appeler. 3 of them, that's just going to be a de there, 3 d'elles. Nous avons fait un voyage en Espagne. Remember, en plus feminine countries and au plus masculine countries. And usually, in basically every case, a feminine country is one which ends with an E. Oh, if only all nouns were like that. Unfortunately not. Il est difficile de travailler. So this is something to keep in mind. When you have an impersonal kind of adjective construction like il est something de infin, what you have to keep in mind is that you always have to use il. Lots of French people you'll hear say c'est difficile, whatever. No, that's wrong. You need to use an il there. And you always have to use a de. So it is difficult to do something, il est something de faire something. Now this is in opposition to what we've got up here. C'est passionnant à voir. This isn't a impersonal construction. It's something else. So you use a when you've got c'est there. So think about the construction ce livre est difficile à lire. Un match de football, c'est passionnant à voir. This match de football comes beforehand, so you can use c'est and a. Whereas in here, you've got the construction il est difficile de faire something. And that's because the something is coming after the verb that you have that there. But again, that's a bit of a weird explanation. Do leave a comment if you need some more explanation on that. But the main thing to remember is il est difficile de infinitive something. But if your thing is coming before, like here, ce livre est difficile à lire, because this isn't impersonal. You've got this kind of noun here. Okay, and then e. This is a length of time in the past, so you need pendant. Pendant un an, ils ont visité presque tous les musées de Paris. Or perhaps you could say il y a there. Well, it says one preposition does it, so I think we'll use pendant. Okay, good. Section 3. This is not so much something which comes up in the current MLATs. You just need to know these kind of things. Connaître, the noun which comes from connaître is connaissance. It's very much a spelling you need to learn, 2 N's, 2 S's. The noun which comes from pleuvoir is obviously rain, so it's going to be la pluie, and I'm forgetting that I need to put in my genders, la connaissance, la pluie. Plaisanter, to joke, the noun from that is la plaisanterie. Souffrir, suffering, is going to be la souffrance. And the noun which comes from commencer is le commencement. Remember that if you have that ment ending, that means that the noun is going to be masculine. And actually, if you look at all of these are all good examples of the fact that when e is at the end of a word, often it is going to be feminine. Obviously, not always. one of the two biggest kind of, if you think about the words le musée, oh no, Christ, my colours are everywhere, le musée and le lycée, these are very, very much masculine. Good. Okay. And now we've got some translations into French, which we're going to have a look at. Okay, first one of these. Which of these cars cost less than 9,500 euros? Now, if you just went straight into this, you'd probably start by translating which as quel, wouldn't you? That is wrong. So quel, I'm just going to explain this. Quel is so the quel, actually I'll use a smaller pen for this. We might run out of space. So quel is very much, well, it's not very much, it is an adjective. But what we need here is a noun, don't we? Because the which is functioning as the subject of the verb coûter, isn't it? So we need a noun, not an adjective. So what I need to use is lequel, which is a noun, or a substantive, as some French people say, substantive, because it is something which can act as a subject or an object or whatever in the sentence. So we're going to use lequel, and because car, voiture is feminine, and because there's more than one of them, it's going to be laquelle. Like this. Sorry, the plurality of cars has nothing to do with this. It's just because the which is obviously singular. Yeah, and it is singular because we know that cost is a singular verb. So the person is talking about just one car. It could have been which of these cars cost, in which case you would use lesquels because that would be plural. But there's just one of them. So laquelle, oh, I'm in the wrong colour. Laquelle, I think I should probably go for a small ink size if my computer will let me do it, which I don't think it's going. No, it might. Here we go. Oh, you got it. Yes. So laquelle de ces voitures. What you'll say here, often you might wanted to use so you might wanted to use cell there. But remember that ce to mean this just goes like that. In that, C is in the masculine and the feminine. So voiture, and this is also an adjective. But if you wanted to use it as a pronoun, like for example ceci or celle-là, then you use ce and celle. But when it's just meaning this, in terms of an adjective, ces voitures, then you use ce, cette, celle. Ce, cette, ci, sorry. Ceci and celle-là are used to say that one there, those ones over there. Okay, and they're pronouns, not adjectives. Local de ces voitures coûte. Coûter is entirely regular, sorry. Moins de 9,500 euros. You know that you need to write those numbers out fully because the English writes them out fully, 9,500. So you need to do that in English in French as well. 9,500 euros. Notice that there's no plural markers on those mille and cent. They just appear singular. Also notice this use of de here rather than que. Que you use in kind of comparative phrases. So il est plus grand que moi. But you always, if you have more than 500 people have taken this test, you would say plus de, moins de. Okay? I think that's pretty explanatory. Next sentence, you just need to kind of learn this formula. More you do something, more something else happens. It's just plus, or moins, or a combination thereof. So you say plus je si c'est regarder, plus je regarde de bonnes ts, you might be saying, well, why is this de here? It's plural. Rule is, if you have de la au des before, du de la au des before an adjective which comes before a noun, it goes to de. So, for example, des grands hommes, this changes to de. Okay? But if your adjective is after the noun, for example, des hommes intelligents, makes no difference. So, plus je regarde de bonnes pièces, moins j'ai envie, or je veux moins j'ai envie d'aller au cinéma. I could have bought this hat last year, but I would not buy it now. I could have bought, that's going to be a conditional perfect. That's a formula you just have to learn. J'aurais pu. So remember, we actually kind of touched on this earlier when we had j'ai dû, didn't we? This is a present in English followed by a perfect infinitive, kind of. But in French, we need to have the whole thing in the past tense. So it's not je pourrais avoir acheté, but j'aurais pu acheter. J'aurais pu acheter ce chapeau l'année dernière. And then we're moving into a present tense conditional now. Mais je ne l'achèterai pas maintenant. Notice that acheter has an irregular future and conditional stem. It adds that there. J'achèterai. Another thing you're just going to have to learn. Mais je ne l'achèterai pas maintenant. Here we are, another must-have. Actually, no, this is where the must-have comes, isn't it? He must have spent all the money he earned during the holidays. So you might think, oh, it's going to be il doit avoir, because that's what happens in English. It's also what happens in German. You would say, muss etwas ausgegeben haben, perfect infinitive. French, that doesn't happen. What you have to do is the whole thing, it's not a present plus a past. In French, the whole thing has to be in the past tense. Il a dû. It's not spent, we're in spent now. Il a dû dépenser tout l'argent qu'il, and you can use the verb gagner to win, for earn, qu'il a gagné pendant les vacances. I spelt vacances correctly this time, well done. If they wanted to leave, they would certainly tell it. Classic type 2C clause, check my 2008 video for an explanation on those. If they wanted to leave, s'il voulait partir. Notice that si plus il goes to s'il. Si plus elle, however, would not do that. It's si elle. S'il voulait partir. So the rule which you need to keep in mind here is that you can't use the verb dire for tell here. You have to use the verb parler. That's just something you need to remember. You can't dire à quelqu'un de quelque chose. You can't use your dire in the sense that ils sont morts, a-t-elle dit, like in that kind of sense. And you could say je dis à quelqu'un que, but you can't dire à quelqu'un de something. You have to use parler de. So you would say il, lui, en parlerait sans doute. Without a doubt, they would talk to her, lui, indirect. And then you've got this en here, which isn't there in the English, but it doesn't need to be there in the French, but I feel like, my feeling is that it feels better that it is. The en is obviously a pronoun which replaces de something. So they would talk to her, lui, en, about it. Sans doute, certainly. Good, and now we're on to translations into English. These seem a bit easier than the ones from 2008, I have to say. But then this grammar section was definitely more difficult. This first verb here you just need to know. S'attendre, and it's good to know this for your English into French work. S'attendre à ce que plus a subjunctive means to expect to. So j'attends à ce que mon petit ami revienne demain. I'm expecting my boyfriend to come back tomorrow. And you've got the same here. So was he expecting us to listen without saying a word? I think that's a good translation. Was he expecting us? Obviously you need to make it into something which not only makes sense in English but also sounds like you're an actual English person. So was he expecting that we would listen? Maybe, yeah. Was he expecting that we would listen to him? There's no to him there, but no, let's not put a to him. Was he expecting us to listen without saying a word? Elle devrait être là. She should be there, or maybe she should be here. She should be here. And here is again that a dû. We had it just earlier. And you're going to translate it as she must have. She must have. Se tromper de train. Well, se tromper means to get something wrong, right? So have a think about how you put that into English. Maybe she must have got on the wrong train. Here we are. All the employees were happy. Du cadeau, let's say happy with the present. Now you need to really parse this sentence to make sure you're getting your grammar right. So le cadeau, the fact that there's a que there suggests that le cadeau is the object of this next sentence. I explained this in the last video, but remember that you use que after an object and qui after a subject. So again, I'll just explain it. La voiture que j'ai achetée, but la voiture qui est belle. I think I used exactly the same example last time. How uncanny. So the que means that the verb word before it is an object. And that means that le patron is the subject of this sentence. The verb is fi, which is a passé simple. If you've done any reading in French, which you will have done, you should know that you will have come across that. And it's obviously the passé simple from faire. So it means he did. So they were very happy with the present which the boss made to them. And here's the indirect object. They were very happy with the present which the boss made to them. And again, this word order is all over the place. That's in order to achieve balance. What you've got to do is make sure you work out what is doing what in the sentence. Be really careful. And because these translations are only a sentence long or so, you do definitely have the time to do that. Comme means only or kind of just by, I think is a good translation here. So I'd say just by looking at it, you can see that nothing interests. Yeah, no, it's the le is the same as the le here. So him, just by looking at him, you can see, let's add a can in there, because that sounds more idiomatic in English. You can see that nothing interests him. Good. Next sentence and final sentence. We interrogated her. Spitch Darcy. We interrogated her, but so for every answer she gave, all she did was smile. That and que is obviously an only, so all she did is quite a good translation in English. If I do say so myself, she only smiled. Yeah, and it has to be that because you could say faire sourire quelqu'un, but there's no other thing there which it could be who she's making smile. So I think she has to be the one who's doing the smiling. Fab. Okay, well done for getting through that. Yeah, okay, that's very good. Well done. I hope that's okay. Do comment if I have made any more mistakes this time, or if some of that stuff I was explaining it and it just went over your head and you didn't understand. Please do comment, I'll get back to you. And if there's enough kind of demand, I will make a new video just to explain some of the things in better detail. I will be back with the 2010 MLAT paper for French. Until then, very, very good luck with your studying. Get out that Quizlet, get out that grammar book, go learn those irregular verbs.